Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Jesus said, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You are like whitewashed tombs, which appear beautiful on the outside, but inside are full of dead men's bones and every kind of filth. Even so, on the outside you appear righteous, but inside you are filled with hypocrisy and evil doing. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You build the tombs of the prophets and adorn the memorials of the righteous, and you say, 'If we had lived in the days of our ancestors, we would not have joined them in shedding the prophets' blood.' Thus, you bear witness against yourselves that you are the children of those who murdered the prophets. Now fill up what your ancestors measured out." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. One of the blessings of traveling is you get to know yourself. You see other cultures and how people relate to each other. And when I lived in Italy, their comfort zone is much different than ours. We like to at least have an arm's length. We don't want anybody to get too close. But if you're on a public bus in Italy, they're right on top of you. And they don't shower as often. They just have a different level of hygiene. So anyway, we'd say that's way too close. We didn't like it. You'd get used to it like anything else. And that's, in a way, is the way Jesus approaches us. He gets way too close for comfort, and maybe that's the point. He doesn't stay on the surface. He wants to get inside and show us that there are things that aren't meant to be there. He knows that, and he came to heal that. And we would hide it, we'd disguise it, we'd blame others, but he wants our heart. And so that divine intimacy was a series of talks written by a Carmelite, and into me see, as a part of trust, is allowing people into our hearts. We don't just allow anyone. We have a right to be discerning. Some people hurt us, and we got to be very cautious about that. But we can trust Jesus, that he wants to know us, and he already does. He wants to show us who we really are. He doesn't want us to be like those teachers that are hypocrites and so forth, that they live on the surface, but deep down there's corruption. That's the goal of our life, is to let God's mercy heal that. There's brokenness in every one of us. It's a part of the human condition. Last night I was watching The Chosen. It's the third season. I finally get around to it now, and it was the third episode. Jesus goes back to his hometown. I won't spoil it, but there's a scene with Joseph, and he's talking to Jesus, who's a little boy, and Jesus is learning the Psalms and the Old Testament. And Joseph's in his workshop, and he's working, and he's trying to teach Jesus how to pronounce certain things. It's a very touching scene. And then he has a moment of maybe a premonition. He gives Jesus this gift, and I won't explain all that, but he says, "Jesus, you know that I'm not your father the way other boys have a father, but I want you to know that I'm grateful that God chose me to raise you." It's much more eloquent than that, but it's a very beautiful thing. That what we want to teach people is gratitude for all of it. That we were born, that we got a chance to live, that God taught us about things that we needed to know, that we could be bad, but we could also be good, that we have brokenness, but that's the beginning of healing, that we have struggles and sin, but that was why God sent his son to save us. So the brokenness of our lives, we don't have to hide. If it weren't for that, we wouldn't even be here. We wouldn't have any reason to come, but we do, because God has begun to save us, to forgive us, to set us free.